Welcome to my Nintendo Switch 2 prediction. Today, I'll go over what they are and why I have selected these features as part of my release strategy. Let's start with specs. I think it'll be good if Nintendo can achieve 6+ hour battery life with fast charging to boot. This is my most desired feature and the most underrated one. I game mostly in handheld mode, so I like the idea of having a Switch with more than 4 hours of battery life under heavy use. The base model will have 128GB of solid-state storage. I think 256GB will be better, but Nintendo has been pretty stingy with the original Switch. Just as 32GB is enough for the Switch to hold the biggest Nintendo-made game of that generation, 128GB should allow the biggest Nintendo-made game of the next generation to fit. Third parties can have bigger games and require a micro SD card as usual. The limit this time has been moved from 2TB of SDXC to SDUC, which is up to an arbitrary limit of 128TB. Next, we move on to the chipset. Tegra Orin just released last year, with the NVIDIA Jetson Orin NX 8GB being priced at US $399 recommend retail price, with a theoretical performance of 1.567 teraflops, which is around the range of the Sony PlayStation 4. Nintendo could also go with a customized NVIDIA Xavier with 16GB of LPDDR4X RAM instead. The advantage of the former is that it would allow them to release a Pro model with a more robust AGX chip down the line. This chip should be enough to produce 1440p duct without it dropping the performance or image quality compared to the current generation. DLSS will then be able to upscale the image and make it appear 4K. 720p is more than enough for a 7-inch screen, so I think they could keep it this way and instead focus on better frame rates. However, selling a brand new Switch with a 720p screen in 2024 might have detractors and may not move units for casuals who do not understand this and see no reason to upgrade or buy the Switch 2 for the time being. Instead, they might also go with a full HD screen and allow original Switch games to run in docked mode all the time on the Switch 2. This will give people a reason to feel an upgrade is immediately worth it and allow for bigger screen sizes in the future, so I'm going to take a gamble and say Nintendo will go with the latter choice for that reason. Concluding the specs section, I think a HD front-facing R-capable camera would be integrated. This will allow interesting gameplay opportunities both in and out of games. Price will be US $399 for an all-digital unit and US $449 with cartridges. An XL Pro model that has an 8.5-inch screen will come 3 years in that does not require new Joy-Cons and accessories. Now on to the second section. Special features and gimmicks. The greatest feature is that instead of dual releases, games will continue to come for several years that works for the original Switch, and it is up to publisher discretion to patch them for Switch 2 for 1440p or 4K. Exclusives for the Switch 2 will then trickle in once the original Switch is outdated. Nintendo Switch Online will be expanded, and video chat and other new features will now be included in the app. For example, we will be able to record several minutes of gameplay footage with or without front cameras enabled. There won't be any real gimmicks with the Switch 2, but if I had to implement one, it would be a voice assistant called Navi that can be used in compatible games to do a myriad of things, such as providing hints and temporarily reduce the difficulty of a difficult chapter, but say calling in an airstrike in an FPS. It can also act as an accessibility feature. Limited themes, backgrounds and more customizations will be a thing and slowly rolled out over time. Launch will be holiday 2024 or early 2025, with launch window games including a new 3D Mario, Metroid Prime 4, Professor Layton and the New World of Steam, Deluxe and Complete Edition ports of Switch and third-party games. I would love to see a Xenoblade Chronicles X remake or remastered. I have actually been thinking with the release of F-Zero 99 and Mother 1 and 2 in Nintendo Switch Online along with recent documentaries that they might actually do something crazy like a new game or a GBA Nintendo Switch Online games to get people to upgrade. A large portion of the GameCube games will continue to be remade or re-released. Then it will come to the basic tier of Nintendo Switch Online service when this is exhausted. To add more value, Saturn games will also be added on the expansion pack, with Game Gear on the Nintendo Switch Online tier. Pokemon games will finally come to Nintendo Switch Online around this time. More DLC will also join the expansion pack. With this, we end my Nintendo Switch 2 prediction by saying it'll have a 6-year run and sell 90 million plus. Due to the higher price of the second generation, Nintendo handheld consoles has a history of selling about 50 to 60% of the first generation, and their home console about 65% of their previous generation. This number might seem low to some, but remember the GBA basically lasted 3 years before the DS, whilst the Wii U went for 5. It meant that Nintendo is quick to launch new hardware when they are successful to ward off competition, and will support for a full generation when unsuccessful, to be fair to fans who adopted. Thus I think my guess is conservative, and they could do more. Besides, the goal should be to build a healthy ecosystem for a potential the Switch 3. What do you think? Would you be interested in a Switch 2 with these features and price point?
Follow for more.